Moving into our last story of the day, we got Dan Crenshaw on CNN here being questioned about guns. Just not only listen to his comebacks here, but listen how this anchor responds to some of his statements, which is insane. I know I'm using this word all the time, but it really is. I mean, if you could think of another word other than insane, let me know in the live chat or comment section below that we can utilize here, because am I going to say bat bleep crazy, which is what I used to use, but I can't cuss on YouTube? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below.
I want to ask you about guns. You're a member of the new House Republican majority. Are you collectively, House Republicans, telling the American people that mass shootings, including of young children, is that just something that's going to happen and you're not going to make any moves at this point to try to stop it when it comes to the House of Representatives?
Here we go, echoing the same exact thing from the White House, the Biden White House. And you see this from certain journalists and certain outlets like CNN. I'm not saying CNN doesn't get some things right, but the vast majority of what they say tends to be leaning toward the Democrat side of the aisle, of which they still say they're unbiased, newsworthy. They're somehow the most trusted news out there, or news outlet, which obviously is a bunch of bogus stuff they push and promulgate out there. But we literally saw Karine Jean-Pierre say this exact same thing, that the Republicans say there's nothing that we can do. And then she grandstand and say, oh, well, are you going to look into the victims of the shooter and say that there's nothing you could do? Are you going to look at the victims and their families of Uvalde right in the eyes and tell them there's nothing you could do? And we're all sitting here going, well, we would like armed guards in the school system. You send billions of dollars to Zelensky and Ukraine and other nations that talk bleep behind our back in front of the UN. If you want to see that, Nikki Haley talks about that a lot, called With All Due Respect, I think is her book is called, by Nikki Haley. Does a phenomenal job of basically ousting the United Nations. But how all these countries just talk bleep behind our back and in front of our face as well, and we just give them billions and billions of dollars. Why don't we spend those billions and billions of dollars of securing our schools and putting armed guards in our school systems? Because these shootings don't happen when there's an armed guard on campus. And if they do, it's stopped relatively quickly. Let's hear Dan Crenshaw's response to all this, because she's spewing a bunch of garbage.
Well, not at all. Look, and I think we do need to have a real conversation about what's happening here. And what I've long called this is a sort of social contagion that's occurred ever since Columbine. This never happened before Columbine. But then Columbine happened, and it was very famous, and it sort of opened the door for very, very disturbed people, whoever they might be, to go in and commit these kind of dramatic, randomized shootings as their outlet for their own evil and crazy. That's basically what's happening.
So you've just...
Now, because it's so random and unexpected, it's hard to prevent. Because they seem like they happen a lot, but they're still anomalous events, and they're very difficult to build a pattern behind. It's not like criminal activity, which you can target and prevent through law enforcement. This is harder. It doesn't mean there's nothing we can do. The truth of the matter is, if we had a minimum of 2 armed guards or police officers at every single school in America, you'd probably prevent these from here on out.
Well, you said
that's the truth.
You said that they're random. The one through line in these deaths is that they are shootings, therefore they are done by guns. And guns are the leading cause of death for children and teens in the U.S. So shouldn't helping save the lives of children be a top priority for you as a member of the House majority?
Spewing the same exact stuff as we've seen Karine Jean-Pierre and this Biden administration do. I mean, they are literally just a mouthpiece for this administration. What she said is technically, in certain studies, true between ages 1 to 19, depending on one study, 1 to 18, depending on another study, is that gun-related deaths are the leading cause of death of children, which I find it interesting. They use 18 and 19-year-olds as children, but that's here nor there. First of all, they also leave out certain infant deaths, which messes with the sample space or your denominator of when you're conducting these studies. But again, that's here nor there. That's for a whole separate video. But it's amazing here as she's making it seem and correlating that the gun-related deaths that are happening with children can be absorbed almost wholly by these mass shootings conducted in these school systems or these school sites or these campuses, however you want to phrase it, where it is an anomaly. It is literally an outlier of you being in an active shooter situation on campus. I mean, you're more likely to be struck by lightning, I believe, Don't quote me wholly on that. I literally just did that off the top of my head. I could be wrong on that. So some people are like, well, not really, Brad. I mean, really, if you look at it, you're blah, 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 one in every chance of being struck by lightning. You understand what I'm saying? It is virtually not going to happen to the vast majority of Americans throughout their entire life to ever be involved in an active shooter situation, let alone one on campus while you're attending school. But this is stuff they're going to push here and peddle. And you have people that don't know stats. They don't know how to read studies. They don't know how to comprehend all this stuff. So they just take it and soak it all in and go, oh, it's true. It's believable.
No, it absolutely should be, which is why I say I would look to the thing that would absolutely stop this, which is putting armed police officers at every school. I visit a lot of schools. I do talks at various schools. It's very rare that I go into a school, especially the newer ones, and they don't have some kind of armed police presence there at all times. So that's a preventive measure. That I know will stop this. And there was nothing like that in these last few mass shootings. There's no armed guards there.
So the answer is
if I'm just looking for actual
guns.
Solutions, that would be it.
So the answer is more guns.
No, the answer is armed guards. No, the answer is armed guards, right? Armed guards, yes, more guns. The kind of guns that protect the president, that protect you all at CNN. Is it easy to get into your headquarters at CNN? Absolutely not. There's armed guards there. Yeah. There's single points of entry. I think we should look at our schools as a place that is precious and have the same kind of security that your corporate offices do, that we do in Congress. You know, if we consider a place to be important where our children go to learn every day, it should have the same level of security as every other place, whether it's a shopping mall or a corporate office that's hard to get into. You're not going to get rid of guns. And I'm not going to say that people can that law-abiding citizens cannot defend themselves anymore and exercise their Second Amendment rights and think that's going to stop mass violence. People will figure out other ways to commit mass violence once they've unfortunately reached that point in their life. It's tragic and it's sad, and a lot of people, we don't understand what's happening, what's inside their heads. And so we look to these other solutions that I think aren't viable.
There were supposed to be armed guards at the schools in both Uvalde in your home state of Texas and...
Supposed to be. So they weren't there, lady. Supposed to be is different than actually being present there.
Parkland, and that didn't help anything. Let's just move on because I know energy is a big issue.
But they weren't there, which is the point.
Well, okay, but they're humans, and that also happens. Let's talk about...
They're humans, and that happens. Okay, great comeback. And by the way, they go into a whole different story here. But we have to understand this, you guys, especially as conservatives, Republicans, and I think a lot of you get this as well. The objective isn't really about protecting your son or daughter on campus. If it was, it could be fixed literally in a blink of an eye with the funding. I mean, literally in a blink of an eye, you could have not just 2, 3. I mean, you could probably have 10 armed guards on campus, on every school campus in America overnight. They don't want to do it. If they did, it would be done already. Both on conservatives, Republicans, but also Democrats side of the aisle as well, and progressive left. What it's all about here is control. Who's going to control the weapons? Is the government going to control the weapons? Or is the private citizens going to control the weapons? If it's the government taking your firearms from your hands, at that point, now they control the firearms, they control the guns, they control which rights that you get, and you see this whole thing going on with Trump. If they remove your firearms, folks, you have nothing to protect yourself with. You have nothing to stick up for your rights with if you lose that Second Amendment right. They'll still say that it's there. They'll still say, oh, we don't want to remove all of your guns. Oh, you can keep that gun. Oh, you can keep that gun after a certain date and time. Or, oh, we'll grandfather this firearm in. They want to sit there and chisel away at it. That's the real goal here. If you notice, everything she said, Karine Jean-Pierre said, we literally did a montage on our shorts of Joe Biden saying he wants to sit there and remove automatic weapons, or I should say automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons, but he said assault weapons to be more specific. Automatic weapons have already been banned for decades. But you understand what I'm trying to say. The real objective here is to take your firearms. The real objective is to give government control, meaning the Democrat Party control. And the more control they have, the more they're going to sit there and encroach upon your life and sit there and remove your rights away. It might not happen tonight, might not happen in your lifetime, might not happen in 50 years, 100 years, 150 years. But over the course of time, I firmly do believe that America, starting now and forward, is going to sit there and slowly chisel away at your rights. And it will slowly happen to a point where we're not going to have rights anymore. If they're talking like this in 2023, can you imagine what they're going to talk about in 21, 23, 22, 23? It's going to be insane, folks, if we even last that long with what China's doing in Ukraine, with Russia invading and all this other nonsense with Iran and wanting to wipe basically Western civilization and Israel and the United States off the map. I mean, we're going into way different topics here, but you understand the goal here is to sit there and take away your firearms, folks. You need to stand up and rise up and get your friends, honestly, to vote in 2024 because you're seeing some serious ish right now. It's insane what is happening. And I'm going to keep using the word insane until somebody tells me to utilize one different. All right, let me live chat. Ship, where you at? Neil, Green, Music Junkie. I mean, we all hang out together, folks. That's only a list of them. You got Jennifer. I mean, there's a long list of people that join us in live chat. You know I love you guys to death. Thanks for always hanging out and supporting the show. If you haven't already, picked up a copy of Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. I was looking for Karine Jean-Pierre's answers in this earlier, couldn't find it. But what you will find is answers to how the progressive left and the Democrat Party is destroying this country from the inside out, folks. It's a great book. They're selling like hotcakes on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. Leave us a 5-star review if you haven't already, folks. It could be something short and sweet, but you want conservatives and Republicans to read this, folks, because I'm telling you, as you saw from Donald Trump Jr., you have the Democrat Party and the progressive left weaponizing the government, and boy, oh boy, are they destroying this country from the inside out. This book's going to be timely for another 2 years, folks. We might need a volume 2. We'll have to see. But as always, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. If you don't know what to write, tell us who you plan on voting for in 2024. Is it going to be Donald Trump? Is it going to be Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Nikki Haley? Let us know in the comment section below. Were you once for DeSantis, and now all this is going on with Trump, and now you're swinging over to Trump's side? We want to know all about it. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Bald Brad Show. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.